According to the Wednesday, July 23 General Hospital recap, Jason Morgan determines he needs to question Liesl Obrecht, and Drew Kane will believe Willow Tate is responsible for Daisy Gilmore's stalking. Nina Reeves questioned Drew at his house regarding the baby stalking case, since Sasha Gilmore Corbin and Daisy had been forced to leave the area. Drew denied targeting an innocent baby, but Nina suspected him because he had access and a motivation. She surmised that it was related to Sonny Corinthos. Willow first pretended that Portia Robinson was lying at GH regarding the blackmail in Drew's scheme to paint Michael Corinthos as a drug addict. But in the end, Willow came to terms with the fact that she would stop at nothing to reunite with her children if Drew believed this was the best course of action. Willow made it apparent that at this time, Drew was the only person she trusted. Nina was thereafter called by Portia, who updated her on Drew's drug addict setup for Michael. In contrast to Willow's unimpressed response, Portia believed that Nina's horror was a fitting response. Jason told Carly Spencer at the Metro Court pool that he thought he spotted Britt Westbourne at the airport, but he wasn't sure if it was because Rocco Falconeri had brought her to his attention. Jason pointed out that he returned from the dead and pondered whether Britt might still be alive, despite Carly's insistence that he was dead. Obrecht gave James West some throwing advice at the hatchet-throwing range, and remarked on how much he resembled Nathan West. Damian Spinelli finally got in touch with Lulu Spencer to let her know that Obrecht would be returning, because he was also present for Liesl's time spent bonding with James. Dante Falconeri, who was having no luck interrogating Sonny at the PCPD, was called in by Lulu. Lulu informed Dante that Liesl will be returning to Port Charles. Lulu and Dante went to the pool because they were determined to warn Rocco not to approach Obrecht. Since Maxie Jones was out of town, Spinelli ended up discussing some wedding-related matters with Drew and Willow. After Drew and Willow had some alone time, the drama surrounding Daisy's stalking began to take shape. While he was abroad on July 4th, Drew attempted to inquire casually about Willow's activities, but she was clearly his top stalking suspect. Back at the pool, Rocco informed Jason that he would email Obrecht and arrange a face-to-face meeting to ask her questions about Britt. Just as Dante and Lulu arrived, Obrecht appeared and finally took a selfie with Rocco. Since he first contacted Liesl, Rocco has stood up for her, but Lulu and Dante were furious. Rocco obviously didn't have the same motives that Dante and Lulu had for opposing Britt and Obrecht. Marco Rios and Lucas Jones had a joyful reunion after Lucas Jones saved him from the warehouse room he was trapped in. Lucas visited with Carly and made it very evident that he was still upset with Sonny and Jason for the kidnapping. Carly was cautioned by Lucas not to defend Jason and Sonny in front of him ever again. Carly knew it couldn't be a coincidence when she met up with Jason again, and saw that Liesl had returned to Port Charles. Jason said he needed to speak with Obrecht after learning that Britt had passed away in her mother's arms. Fearing for Marco's safety, Jen Sidwell at the PCPD was cautious about what he told ADA Justine Turner. When Marco arrived at the police station with a made-up narrative about going on a stroll, falling into a ravine, and destroying his phone, he appeared to be in pretty bad shape. Then Marco said he had to replace a flat tire and dozed off in his car with his eyes closed. Marco accompanied Lucas in his hotel suite after agreeing to sign a statement attesting to all of that, if needed. After taking a shower, Marco let Lucas to check him over before they went to bed together. Despite her inability to provide proof, ADA Turner was certain that Sonny was guilty of kidnapping. Turner contended that Marco would be dead if Sonny were soulless, even if he believed that to be the case. Stay tuned for more daring maneuvers from Sonny and Sidwell, according to General Hospital teasers. On Tuesday, July 22, 2025, Jason is resolute, Dante and Lulu are worried, Nina goes looking for Drew, Portia reveals something and Willow's actions raise questions. At the throwing club, James, Spinelli, and Obrecht all toss axes. While Spin texts Lulu to come over, she gives James some lessons. After talking about how James is similar to Nathan, Oma asks why no one warned her about Willow's spiral into chaos. Oma encourages James to keep throwing axes, but Spin begs her to be more understanding with Willow. Obrecht is worried about her spiraling, but she believes Willow has some evil in her. Jason tells Carly at Metro Court Pool that he believes he saw Britt at the Paris airport because Rocco mentioned her name. Carly believes he thought she was Britt because of the way she colored. I'm sorry to say it. She's dead, which is horrible, but Jason tells her that he was too. He explains to her how Rocco found out that Britt had stolen the embryo and had it implanted in her, as well as the birth certificate incident. Because she saved Joss' life, Carly is impartial. Jason questions whether she died. Dante interrupts Sonny and Ada Turner at PCPD. While Sonny tells his kid that he doesn't think they should talk about the Marco situation, she goes out to speak with Sidwell. Dante tells his father that the children admire him. Turner asks Sidwell outside if he believes foul play had anything to do with his son's demise. Sidwell wants assurance that his son is safe, but he has no proof of anything. Dante overhears Sidwell telling Turner that he believes his son has been kidnapped and is being blackmailed by someone when Turner calls Sonny out. He is unable to give specifics because doing so could endanger his child's health. When Lucas uses the key to enter the address on the paper he was given, he discovers Marco unconscious and strapped to a chair. After waking up, he takes off his handcuffs. They kiss for a long time. Nina informs Drew that Sasha left the PC with Daisy. Drew believes that Michael was trying to control her, while Nina responds that Sasha desired it because their baby was being targeted. She tells him about the strange things that have happened with the baby and holds Drew responsible for everything. Drew disputes it. He wouldn't abuse children in order to win Willow's children back. Drew believes it has something to do with Sonny. Nina isn't sure. Willow believes Portia is attempting to turn her against Drew at her workplace. It won't function. It's true, Portia informs her. In order to kidnap the man's children, he wants her to alter Michael's blood test results to make it appear as though he is an addict. Portia doesn't know who Willow is anymore, if that doesn't concern her. Drew wants her to ruin everything, even though she is aware of how hard Michael has struggled. If that's what it takes, I'm on Drew's side, Willow declares. Despite Portia's attempts to reason with her, Willow reminds her that he took her children away through the legal system. She does not wish to bring her private life into the office. She is reminded once more by Portia that she is being blackmailed by her fiancé. Willow claims that Michael is treating her in a similar manner. If Drew's actions result in the return of her children, then so be it. When Lulu gets to the throwing club, she finds out that Liesel has returned. Why? Lulu is curious to know. Lulu worries that she's there to see Rocco, but Spin claims she's worried about Willow. She answers Dante's phone and asks to meet at the club. Marco tells Ada Turner Sonny, and Jens he's alright when he interrupts them back at the PCPD. To get his mind off his mother, Marco makes up a big fib about becoming lost in the woods while out on a walk, and the father and son embrace. When he eventually returned to his car, he had a flat tire, no cell signal, and had fallen into a ravine. He fell asleep till a little while ago since he assumed he would rest for a time. He will need to sign a statement, Turner informs him. He promises to do so before leaving. Sonny tells Turner he's relieved it's over, and Sidwell follows. Sonny clings to Marco's account, but Turner discovers what transpired between the fire at Charlie's and his revenge with the kidnapping. Turner accuses him of being as corrupt as she believed, but he assures her that Marco would have died if he were. Telling Carly she owes him and that he's cashing in, Lucas dashes to the pool. After they depart, Rocco informs Jason that Britt Westbourne is more complex than he initially thought. He reveals that after reaching out to Albrecht, they had a meeting. He believes that Britt wasn't entirely negative because of what she said. Albrecht shows up and looks at Jason. She asks Rocco to help her locate a chaise after greeting the men. They depart. After Lucas informs Carly that he discovered Marco battered and handcuffed to a chair, she allows him to enter Marco's room upstairs. Carly is relieved he's alright. Lucas claims that he would have ensured Jason and Sonny were imprisoned for life if he hadn't. Lucas is irritated with Carly because she believes he is being foolish. Before she leaves him alone, he warns her not to defend Sonny and Jason in front of him. Before Lucas tells Marco how concerned he was about him, Marco arrives and takes a shower. All the way to the bed, Marco gives him a kiss. Spinelli visits Drew to inform him that all of the invites have been sent. He and Maxie hope the best for Drew. Michael as well. He requests that they treat each other with joy and kindness. They decide to invite Liesel to the wedding when Willow shows up. Before Willow can't wait for the wedding, they hope that Spin will say farewell, and that Maxie will return home soon. Drew questions whether Willow was playing pranks on Daisy as she considers seating Liesel next to Nina. He wants to know what she did while he was in Washington, D.C. on July 4th. She claims that she and her mother shared a drink. At the club, Dante discovers Lulu hurling axes. She informs him that Albrecht is present. The parents decide that they must speak with Rocco about her right away. When Carly gets back to Jason in the pool, she sees Liesl there. She asserts that it cannot be a coincidence. They chat about Britt's death, and Jason realizes he needs to speak with Liesl. In the vicinity, Liesl shares with Rocco stories about Britt shooting her with a fishing pistol while she was a prisoner on Cassadine Island. As his parents enter, they snap a selfie. As Lulu tells Liesl she's leaving and to avoid her son, the child is dragged away. Considering that Rocco wouldn't exist if it weren't for Britta, Liesl apologizes and wishes they could live together. When Nina enters Portia's office, she is informed that Drew is using blackmail to make Michael appear to be a drug addict. Nina finds out that Willow wasn't bothered at all, which horrifies her. Drew had always relied on his gut feelings, and they had been becoming stronger in Willow's presence lately. There was a change in her conduct, including instances when she appeared preoccupied or aloof even with Michael, forced grins, and nervousness she couldn't conceal. It wasn't the typical stress of parenthood or Port Charles life. It was more purposeful, more profound. And Drew's imagination made connections that others hadn't even noticed when Daisy started getting weird hang-up calls and menacing notes. Willow had more than just motivation. She also had opportunity and, in Drew's opinion, a pattern of subdued obsession that few would anticipate from her composed manner. Willow didn't appear to be suspected by anyone else. She was the devoted mother, the soft-spoken former teacher, the woman who battled leukemia and recovered. Drew, however, noticed something else. Something had changed in Willow ever since Daisy returned to town, modest and unassuming. It might have been jealousy. Perhaps it was a fear of what secrets Daisy may reveal. Daisy, after all, was more than just a name from the past. She was a reminder of Shiloh, of cult pandemonium, and of the women who had been drawn into his warped world and then had to rebuild their lives. And one of those women had been Willow. At first, Drew kept his suspicions to himself. Without evidence, he didn't want to make a direct accusation against Willow. But the more he observed, the more difficult it was to ignore the warnings. "You don't belong here" was written on Daisy's windshield after her car was tampered with in the hospital parking lot. And Drew looked at the security footage himself. A blurry figure wearing a hoodie is all that is visible. However, it coincided with Willow's break from her shift at the hospital. She had stated that she was praying in the chapel. Drew looked. There, no one had noticed her. Naturally, when Drew finally came up to Michael, he didn't believe it. With his mouth gritted, he insisted that Willow wouldn't harm anyone. "You recognize her?" Drew resisted. "I am aware of her past involvements. You don't simply get away with it unscathed. Without triggers." Drew knew he had sown the seed, but Michael left in a rage. Even if Michael didn't acknowledge it, he would begin to watch as well. Nobody knew how high the stakes were. Daisy had started asking questions, so she wasn't just a helpless victim. Drew learned that she had recently asked the PCPD archives for Shiloh's old files, examining the documents that had previously been sealed during the initial investigation. Why? Did she know Willow might be frantically trying to stay buried? However, Drew couldn't do this by himself. He turned to Jason for that reason. Although Jason Morgan had always been the complete opposite of him, stoic, quiet, and deadly when called upon, Drew knew he could rely on him when the job was important. And it did. Jason was related to Albrecht, the mysterious physician who seemed to be familiar with all the murky details of the hospital and its hidden mysteries. Albrecht was involved in the dawn of day aftermath, Shiloh's takedown, and above all, she was aware of what had been concealed and by whom. When Drew meets Jason late at night outside the Corinthos coffee warehouse, he confessed, "Albrecht won't talk to me. However, she will speak with you. She abides by your code. Additionally, she is afraid of you." Jason initially had doubts. "Are you okay with me questioning Albrecht about Willow?" That's a stretch, but Drew explained everything, even the odd hospital logs, the time, and the supporting documentation. "You should speak with her," Drew advised. Jason didn't make any promises, but he visited the lab the following morning. She might know what Daisy's really after, and what Willow might do to stop it. It did not please Albrecht to see him. "Jason Morgan," she said, making a mocking adjustment to her glasses. Jason wasted no time in saying, "Unless someone is missing or bleeding, you rarely darken my door. Daisy is in danger." Drew suspects Willow of being responsible. Albrecht raised an eyebrow. Willow Tate? The beloved teacher who became a martyr? She gave a chilly laugh. Jason refused to back down, saying, "You must be desperate. You are aware of what Daisy is investigating. The files of Shiloh. What are they made of?" Albrecht grew serious. No one should desire some items that are hidden in those files to be discovered. Not Willow in particular. Nobody realized how much she participated in the rites. Ceremonies were held, along with humiliations. But by keeping her head down, she managed to survive. Jason leaned in. "Is there anything Willow would like to conceal right now?" Albrecht remained silent for a while, seemingly weighing whether or not to reveal long-kept secrets at this time. "There was a night," she continued, "among the initial initiations. Daisy was present, but Willow wasn't merely a spectator. She took part. Voluntarily." Jason took this in. "I always suspected it haunted her." "And does Daisy recall it?" Albrecht remarked. "Willow might stop at nothing to keep her quiet." Everything changed when she said, "Especially if she thinks Michael can't know." Drew understood the ramifications after Jason informed him of the information. Given her new life, kids, and Michael's confidence, Willow would be desperate to hide any transgressions she may have made within the cult. And it clarified the threats if Daisy had evidence, or even just her own recollection. Drew started keeping a closer eye on Willow, noting every time she missed work or had an inexplicable absence. One afternoon, when she claimed to be visiting an ailing patient, he even followed her. Rather, she took a car to a dilapidated cabin on the outskirts of town that appeared to have been abandoned for many years. Before she came out, he waited in his car for about an hour, and she wasn't by herself. Daisy, clearly terrified, came out behind her. Drew took pictures but refrained from confronting them right away. He later made a private approach to Daisy. "What was it she told you?" he inquired. Daisy paused. "She advised me to put the past out of my mind. That if I didn't let go, I could destroy lives." "Did she threaten you?" Daisy's voice wavered as she replied. "She didn't have to. She was aware of the place I recently moved into. She was aware of the type of vehicle I currently drive. I never said any of that to her." Drew grimly nodded. "It's getting worse." Jason persisted in asking Albrecht additional questions. She was holding back, he thought. One evening when no one was home, a kitchen chair was thrown over, a door to Daisy's apartment was discovered open, and a note was scratched into the mirror. "Remember what you did." It was a warning. Albrecht finally broke. That evening, Albrecht gave Jason a direct call. Albrecht acknowledged. She wasn't acting alone in that ritual. A recording was found. Everything used to be filmed by Shiloh. Daisy could permanently ruin Willow's reputation if she discovered it. "Is the recording still in existence?" "I'm not sure." Jason now saw the entire image, but if it does, Daisy might be holding it over her head. Willow might be taking deliberate measures to shield herself and her family from something terrible. So it wasn't just paranoia. And the consequences wouldn't only ruin her if she went too far to do it. Michael might also be torn apart by it. At last, Drew went straight to Willow. During a slow evening shift at the hospital, he confronted her. He said, "I understand what you're doing." Willow stopped. "What are you discussing?" "You have been keeping an eye on Daisy. You cautioned her. You visited that cabin." Her eyes grew wide, then squinted. "Are you pursuing me?" "Because I'm attempting to prevent a more serious situation." "Willow, what's in that file?" Willow's eyes were haunted, but she didn't respond. "I took the necessary actions to ensure my survival." "Did Daisy?" Drew inquired. Willow's voice broke as she said, "Because she might not survive what's coming. I'm not the bad guy. This wasn't begun by me." "No," Drew said quietly. "Jason waited in the next corridor and listened, but you might be the one who finishes it." He was aware that time was running out. Before someone permanently silenced Daisy, whatever was on that tape, if it was still there at all, had to be located. Additionally, Willow needed assistance before her fear caused her to act recklessly. Daisy vanished later that evening. Her automobile was discovered abandoned next to the riverside. Her cell phone was broken. There were indications of a struggle, but no corpse was discovered. Both Drew and Jason feared the worst. The whole truth had not yet been revealed to Michael. As long as the investigation was ongoing, Drew couldn't bring himself to tell him. Willow, however, was aware. Her knees gave down a little as she read the article, and her face became white when she saw the news. She refrained from crying. She made no inquiries. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she said simply in a whisper. Jason and Drew looked at each other. Regardless of whether Willow had hurt Daisy physically, she had undoubtedly started a chain of events that got out of hand. And they were both aware that her past was far from over.